Naarifiwa kwamba tuende tusikilize yale ambayo yanajiri kule Naivasha, manake Rais William Ruto yuko tayari kuzungumza. Tusikike ni kipi ambacho kinajiri, alafu tutajua baadaye tunakwenda wapi.
In the supply chains further compounded the situation, resulting in a steady weakening of the Kenya shilling. Upon assuming office, we committed to bring our economy back on track by taking necessary measures, making necessary choices to raise revenue, reduce expenditure, and basically make sure that our nation lives within its means. We have pursued a turnaround strategy focused on increasing our tax revenue and reducing both spending and the rate of debt accumulation. Through this process, we have been guided by the principles and values of equity, fairness, and prudence in public spending without sacrificing priority social and development spending. In the interest of sound debt management, we have implemented a combination of strategies, including the diversification of financing sources, smoothing the maturity profiles, and proactively managing our debt liabilities in general, maintaining a low cost of debt and ensuring that debt is sustainable at all times. I am delighted to announce that our sacrifices and determined efforts have not been in vain. As a consequence of our commitment to sound debt management strategy, fiscal and general economic management policies, and the tightening of our monetary policy by the Central Bank of Kenya, investor confidence has been significantly enhanced, resulting in the appreciation of the Kenya shilling against the US dollar from an average of 162 shillings to an average of 142 shillings at the moment. In turn, this has reduced our debt service costs. Just a moment. In turn, this has reduced our overall debt by Kenya shillings 722 billion, and also reduced our debt service costs by Kenya shillings 195 billion over the next years, saving the country a total of almost 1 trillion Kenya shillings. Additional indicators of rising investor confidence include the performance of the recent issue of the Eurobond, the infrastructure bond, and increased liquidity in the market. As a result of robust measures, management, the successful turnaround has pulled Kenya away from the brink of debt distress, put our finances in good working order, and established the necessary conditions to execute the bottom-up economic transformation agenda on a sound footing. Consequently, our economy is on a trajectory that will create more jobs and more wealth, finance investment in goods and services, and usher this nation into the era of inclusive growth. Thank you very much. I thought of making this statement because it is necessary for us to inform the country where we stand today, especially after the anxiety of the last 1 year, where many in the international community were worried about Kenya's position and Kenya's financial ability to manage our situation, including our debt situation. I can now confidently say Kenya is no longer in the list of the countries that run the risk of debt default, thanks to the collective effort that has been done by my team at the Treasury and by the whole of government approach that has seen us down on many aspects of spending, make sure that we reduce the accumulation of expensive debt and put the country on a trajectory of living within our means. Any questions? I can take one or two questions.
My name is Ruth Sarmoe from NTV. We have 2 Eurobonds which make interest payment in August and February, and now we've added another one. So isn't this too much for the taxpayer?
I don't think you contextualize the question you have asked, because what we have done today is historic. What we have done is to smoothen. We've changed the whole trajectory on how we are going to manage our debt portfolio. There will never come a time when we will be expected to pay a bullet 2 billion again. And it is because of our strategy and because of our understanding of the market that will give us the opportunity now to ensure that we manage our debt in a manner that doesn't put the country at a place where default becomes a possibility. And as I have told you, we have managed to get the country out of that situation where it was a candidate for default. Kenya is no longer in that category.
My name is Stephen Leto from Citizen TV. What is the ripple effect of the step that you've taken, especially to the lowering the cost of living? And number 2, how much is the relief for the current financial year budget and consequently the next, that is the 2024-2025 financial year?
The strategy we have put in place over the last 1 year has seen the cost of living come down, whether you talk about the cost of food, whether you talk about inflation. And what we have done with the management of the debt situation in the country has done a couple of things. Enhance liquidity in the market. We are now going to see an easing of interest rates and less appetite by the government to borrow in the domestic market, and therefore allow more enterprises and the private sector to access resources to spur economic activity in the country and use the private sector to drive as economic drivers of our economy. Secondly, the interventions we have made have been deliberate and intentional in areas that will ensure that the cost of food begins to go down. Today, in our shelves, we had prices of unga at 230, 240. Today, we have prices of 140 or thereabout. A whole 100 shillings difference. There are ripple effects in all food items. We have also made the deliberate intention to deal with imports. Today, we import 500 billion every year of food items in the country, from sugar to wheat, to rice, to maize, to edible oils. The discussion we are having in the meeting you see going on here is on the relevant value chains to align again our budget this year, as we did last year, to make sure that the gains we made last year in bringing down the cost of food by enhancing productivity and enhancing supply of food items continues. We now have a clearer plan on sunflower, on cotton, on palm oil, on coffee, on tea, on sugarcane, because it is the investment we are going to make in these areas to enhance productivity that is going to reduce the resources we use to import these food items externally. The 500 billion US dollars, the 500 billion Kenya shillings we spend every year to import food into Kenya will only go down the day we produce that food in Kenya. That is the step we are making, and we have made a commitment as a government that we want to reduce imports by 50% in the next 5 years and by 100% in 10 years, so that in 10 years we will not be importing edible oil, we will not be importing sugar, we will not be importing maize or all the other food items. And if we are, we will be having a commensurate export of all the other products to cover up for any deficits in our foreign exchange. So we are having a whole of government approach in tackling the challenges that face our country. And it is that collective effort that you see us spend 3 days here